Sometimes, the past shows up when we least expect it. And when it does, it reminds us of how far we've come, or how much we're still healing. Marcus Varela was proud of his new fiancée, Celeste Raymond. He walked into a big charity party with her on his arm. But he didn't know that his ex-wife, Elina Marques, had moved on too, with someone very special. Elina's new boyfriend, Lucien Armand, was more than kind and smart. He was a billionaire, a quiet, powerful man who cared deeply for Elina and gave her the love she never had with Marcus. This story is not just about love, it's about strength, healing, and a soft kind of revenge. Rain hit the windows of a cozy café on West 46th Street. Elina Marques sat at a corner table, holding a warm cup of cappuccino. It was cold for May in New York City, and people came in to get out of the rain. Elina wore a soft blue sweater and jeans. She looked calm, but inside, she felt a little nervous. Just 1 year ago, she was still recovering from her divorce. She thought about the days she and Marcus ended their marriage. They had been college sweethearts. But Marcus became cold and mean, always trying to control things. They fought a lot about money, work, and life. In the end, their love broke apart. A loud horn from outside brought her back to the present. She checked her phone. Lucien had said he'd meet her here after his meeting. They would go to her friend Lindau's art show together. Lucien had always been good to her. He never made her feel small. He listened, he cared, and though he was very rich, he never showed off. Just then, the doorbell above the cafe rang. Elina looked up, thinking it was Lucien, but her heart stopped. It was Marcus. He walked in, shaking water off his umbrella. Marcus had not changed much. He was still tall, still confident, and still had that proud look in his eyes. Elina's stomach felt tight. A feeling she hadn't had in a long time came rushing back. She thought about hiding behind her coffee cup, but it was too late. He saw her. "Elina," he said, walking toward her. "Wow, it's been a while." Marcus wore a dark gray suit that looked expensive. His hair was neat, no longer messy like before. He looked like the successful businessman he had always wanted to be. He looked at the chair across from her. Without asking, he pulled it out and sat down. He didn't seem to care about the other people waiting for seats. That was so like Marcus. He always wanted to be the center of attention. "Yes, it has been a while," Elina said, trying to sound calm. But her hands shook a little, so she slowly set her cup down. It felt strange to see him again like this. For a moment, she wondered how his life had been. Then the memories came back. The fights, the blame, the way they hurt each other. She took a deep breath. She wasn't going to let the past control her. "You look good," Marcus said, leaning back in his chair. "I heard you moved back to the city." "How have you been?" she asked. He gave a small smile, but it looked forced. They were not the same people anymore. "I'm doing fine," Elina said. "Just taking life one day at a time." "Same here. Just came from a client meeting," he said, tapping the table with his fingers. Then he paused. "I know things didn't end well between us." Elina waited for something sharp, an insult, a rude comment, but he only cleared his throat and wiped an invisible spot on the table. Maybe he felt a little guilty. "I hope you're okay," he said at last. "I am," she replied gently. She wasn't sure if it was true, but she wanted it to be. "Really, I'm okay." Just then, the cafe door opened again. A cold breeze and light rain came in. Elina looked up, and her heart skipped a beat. Lucien Armand walked in. He looked calm, tall, and strong. His navy blue blazer and matching pants made him stand out right away. Lucien saw Elina right away. He smiled, warm and sure. Marcus followed her gaze and frowned. His face changed from confused to sharp and cold. He was thinking hard. "Elina," Lucien said as he walked over calmly. "Sorry I'm late. The meeting went longer than I thought." He gently touched her shoulder and kissed her cheek. It was a soft kiss, but it made Elina feel safe, like she could breathe again. Marcus raised one eyebrow. "So this is?" Elina felt her chest tighten. This moment had come too soon. "Marcus, this is Lucien Armand, my boyfriend," she said, her voice a little shaky. "Lucien, this is Marcus Varela, my ex-husband." The air around them felt heavy, like a storm about to start. Lucien stayed calm. He reached out to shake Marcus's hand. "Nice to meet you," he said kindly. Marcus shook it, but not with warmth. "Likewise," he said. He looked Lucien up and down like he was checking out a rival. Something passed between them. Maybe respect, maybe jealousy, maybe both. Elina felt it deep in her chest. Well, I should get going, Marques said quickly. I need to pick up Celeste. The name hit Elina like a small shock. She remembered Marques mentioning a coworker named Celeste near the end of their marriage. Was this her? Or had Elina always known deep down? Either way, it still hurt. But Elina kept her face calm. She had learned how to hide feelings well. She wore that mask too often when she was with Marques. Nice running into you, Elina, Marques said. Then he nodded at Lucien. And nice meeting you. Maybe we'll see each other again. Lucien gave a small, polite smile. Maybe. Take care. Marques walked out, leaving behind the strong smell of his cologne and a cloud of questions. Elina took a deep breath. The scent brought back a memory she didn't want. Lucien pulled out a chair and sat across from her. He gently took her hand. Are you okay? He asked softly. Elina smiled a little. She didn't want this moment to ruin her day. I'm okay, just surprised. Lucien squeezed her hand. If he bothers you, or if you ever need space, I'm here. I'll handle it. His voice was quiet. Not angry, just strong. No, it's fine, she said quickly. I'm over him, I think. She let out a breath. Her chest still felt tight, not because she missed Marques, but because she once loved someone who never really saw her. Let's go to the gallery, she said, standing up. Lynn's waiting. Lucien stood too and helped her with her coat. He was always gentle like that. As they stepped outside into the wet street, Elina felt a storm of old feelings inside her. Marques had left, but he had stirred up something she wasn't ready to face. Elina felt many thoughts spinning in her mind. She didn't know it yet, but seeing Marques again was only the beginning. Something big was coming. Something full of secrets, old pain, and new chances. And no one would walk away the same. 2 days later, Elina sat in the sunniest corner of her apartment. She was looking through old photo albums she had packed away after the divorce. She didn't know why she chose now to open them. Maybe seeing Marques had woken something deep inside her. Memories. Some sweet, some painful. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from Lindau. Did you see the article in the Chronicle about Marques's engagement party? It's going to be huge. Like front page huge. Are you okay? Elina frowned and texted back quickly. I'm fine, just surprised. We ran into each other yesterday. Lynn replied right away with a bunch of shocked emojis. Then, he's totally showing off Celeste. People say she's from a big-name family. They're throwing a super fancy event next month. If you want backup, I'm your girl. Elina sighed deeply. So this was it. Marques still cared about looking powerful. He had turned his engagement into a big public show. And inside Elina something hurt. A small, quiet ache. She remembered the talks they used to have about renewing their vows on their 10th anniversary. Just family. Just love. That dream was gone now. In its place was his new, glittering life with someone else. She turned a page. There it was, a photo from college. Marques, with messy hair and bright eyes, hugging her outside their dorm. They had looked so young, so sure they would last forever. How did it all go so wrong? She put the photo away. No, she wouldn't fall into the past again. Life had changed. She had changed. Now she had her own architecture studio, Marques Design Studio. She had kept the Marques name because it was on all the legal papers from before the divorce. Her business was small, but it was growing. And then there was Lucien. He had come into her life like a breath of fresh air. She thought about his kind eyes and calm voice. They had met at a charity event. Lynn had dragged her there. Lucien was introduced as a quiet donor. He didn't show off, even though he gave so much to good causes. They clicked right away. Both of them loved art, design, and travel. She had heard little things about his money, something about a big inheritance and a company in tech. But Lucien never talked much about that. Lucien owned a part of a big tech company. But he didn't talk much about money. When he first asked Elina out, she wasn't sure if she was ready. But something about Lucien made her feel safe. She trusted him from the beginning. Since then, they had slowly built something strong together. Quiet, but real. Her phone buzzed and pulled her out of her thoughts. It was a message from Lucien. Dinner tonight? Or I can stop by your studio and we grab drinks later. Elina smiled at the screen. Warmth filled her chest. She texted back. Dinner sounds perfect. I'll be at the studio for a few hours, but free by 6. See you then. She gently closed the photo album and put it back in a box, then slid it deep into her closet. It felt like a small goodbye, to the memories and to the pain. Yes, Marques and Celeste's big party would probably be the talk of the city, but Elina had her own life now, her own story to live. Still, something inside her said it wasn't over. Her past with Marques might return, louder than before. That night, the bell above the door of a lovely French restaurant rang as Lucien opened it for Elina. His hand rested gently on her back as they walked in. The restaurant, called Maison Lune, was quiet and beautiful. Soft jazz played in the background. The lights were warm and golden. The hosts knew Lucien right away and led them to a private table in the back. Elina sat down, admiring the elegant table. Shiny silverware, clean white napkins, everything perfect. She noticed a few people looking at Lucien. They didn't seem sure who he was, but they could tell he was important. She had gotten used to this. Lucien never bragged, but he had a presence that made people look twice. "I ordered your favorite red wine," Lucien said with a smile. "I thought we could celebrate your good news." Elina smiled wide. That morning, she had signed a big deal with a small hotel chain. They saw her work online and wanted her to design their next location. It could take her studio to the next level. "That's really sweet," she said. "I still can't believe they chose me." Lucien reached across the table. Lucien took Elina's hand. "You deserve this success. I'm so proud of you," he said. His voice was calm and full of belief, like he saw something in her that she was still learning to see herself. The wine waiter came over and poured their drinks. They clinked glasses gently. The soft sound of glass touching glass filled the quiet space. Outside, rain moved down the windows like slow silver lines. The world outside faded, and it felt like it was just the two of them in the whole city. Elina took a sip. The red wine warmed her throat and chest. Their conversation flowed easily. Lucien talked about a trip to London he had coming up for a charity event. As usual, he didn't talk much about money or business. He liked to keep that private. Sometimes, Elina wondered what he didn't say. Not because she thought he had secrets, but maybe because he had learned to protect himself that way. She, on the other hand, lit up as she talked about her hotel design project. Her mind was full of ideas. She told him about her sketches and color boards with excitement she hadn't felt in years. And Lucien listened, really listened. Halfway through dinner, Lucien put down his fork. He looked at his plate for a moment before speaking. "I've been thinking," he said slowly, "about introducing you to some of my close friends and business contacts. I want them to know who I'm with, the amazing woman you are." His voice was soft, but Elina could feel that it meant a lot to him. She paused, her fork in midair. Her heart skipped. "You do?" she asked, surprised but touched. It wasn't just about the event, it was what it meant. Lucien was opening the door to his world. A big step. They had only been dating a couple of months. And his world? It was full of powerful people, people who might see her as just an architect. Would she feel like she didn't belong? Would they make her feel small? Lucien nodded and set his napkin gently on the table. "There's a fundraiser next week. I'd love for you to come, by my side, if that's okay." He looked at her, eyes kind but serious, like he was saying she didn't need to doubt herself. Elina felt a mix of emotions, excitement, nerves, and a little bit of fear. "Of course," she said softly. "I'd love to." Lucien smiled with real joy. He reached out and gently rubbed her hand with his thumb. "Thank you. I'm so happy you're in my life, Elina," she smiled back. But deep inside, she felt her heart ache, in a good way, like something broken inside her was slowly healing. They stayed for dessert, a soft chocolate cake that melted in her mouth. They talked about fun things, books, childhood memories, places they dreamed of visiting. Elina felt peaceful. For once, she wasn't scared of the future. She wanted it. Marques's name never came up. He didn't belong in this night. This was about Lucien, about hope, about something new. Later, the restaurant got quiet. It was time to go. "I'll take you home," Lucien said, leading her to a shiny black car waiting outside. She remembered the first time he'd picked her up with a driver. She had wanted to take a cab. Fancy cars felt too much. But now, she was used to this life with him. And even though she liked to pay her own way, she no longer felt like she didn't fit. Elina was getting more comfortable with Lucien's world. Still, she liked to pay her own way when she could. Inside the car, Lucien put his arm gently around her shoulders. Elina leaned in, feeling calm. She closed her eyes and watched the soft glow of city lights through the window as they drove through New York. The quiet sound of the car helped her relax. In that peaceful moment, she let herself believe something new. Maybe, just maybe, her life was finally moving forward. Maybe she was really free from the heartbreak Marques had left behind. The next morning, sunlight poured into Elina's architecture studio. She sat at her desk, drawing smooth pencil lines for her hotel project. She was focused until the phone rang. "Elina Marques, Marques Design Studio," she said, placing her pencil down. "Elina, it's me," said Lynn's excited voice. "You're not going to believe this." Elina sat up. "What happened?" "I just heard from someone at the Chronicle. Marques and Celeste are having their big engagement party next week at the Four Seasons. And guess what? They're inviting everyone from your old group, friends, old clients, everyone." Elina felt her stomach twist. "Why would they invite me?" she asked. "Well, apparently Marques didn't want you there," Lynn said. "But Celeste pushed for it. She told the paper she wants a peaceful future or something, but maybe she just wants to show off." Lynn's voice softened. "I know you probably don't care anymore, but I wanted you to know, just in case you get an invite." Elina let out a slow breath. She wasn't surprised. Marques loved attention. Of course his engagement would be some huge public event. "Thanks for telling me," she said. "If I get invited, I'll think about it." "Just remember," Lynn added, "you don't owe them anything." Elina smiled a little. "How's Lucien?" Just saying his name made her smile wider. "He's good, actually. He wants to introduce me to his circle at a fundraiser next week." Lynn laughed. "Ooh, big week ahead. Better you than me. But seriously, I'm happy for you. And if you need a +1 to Marcus's circus, I'm free. I'll even wear sunglasses and act like your bodyguard." They laughed and ended the call. Elina sat with the phone in her hand, thinking, Marcus's party would be full of important people. It would be flashy. It would show off money and power. Celeste? Elina remembered now. She came from a rich Boston family. People said she was a smart lawyer. Marques probably saw her as the perfect mix, love and power. Just the kind of thing he always wanted. That afternoon, a delivery person came to Elina's apartment. He held a large cream envelope with gold writing. Her heart beat faster. Even though she held a warm cup of tea, a chill ran through her. The envelope felt heavy, like it carried more than just paper. The return address read, Mr. Marques Varela and Miss Celeste Raymond. Elina sighed. So it was true. They really invited her. Inside the envelope was a thick, shiny invitation. It talked about their fancy engagement party at the Four Seasons. Elina looked at it for a moment, then put it back in the envelope. She didn't know if she should throw it away or hide it in a drawer. It felt too loud to ignore, too rude to accept. A part of her thought this was Celeste's idea, not to be kind, but to show off. Maybe it meant, come see what you lost. Later that night, Elina sat on her couch with a blanket over her legs. She looked at the invitation on the table. She decided to talk to Lucien about it. Maybe they wouldn't go at all. Still, the envelope sat there like a challenge, like it was waiting for her to make a move. She didn't want to see Marques walk around that ballroom with Celeste. She didn't want to feel like she didn't belong. But a small voice inside her said, what if I went? What if I showed them I'm not broken anymore? That I'm stronger now? Elina picked up her phone and called Lucien. He answered right away. Elina, he said warmly, I was just thinking of you. Well, she said with a dry smile, something interesting just showed up. Oh, an invitation to Marcus's engagement party. Lucien paused. How do you feel about that? Elina hugged her pillow. I'm not sure. Part of me wants to stay far away, but another part, maybe I want to prove something. To myself. Her voice shook just a little. It wasn't Marques who sent it. It was Celeste. It feels like a trick, but maybe I'm just being paranoid. Lucien's voice was calm, strong. Whatever you choose, I'll be with you. If you want to go, I'll stand next to you. If not, we'll spend the night doing something better. Just us. His words were soft, but they gave her strength. Like armor she didn't know she needed. Elina took a breath. Her chest felt lighter. I'll think about it, she said. But right now, we have your fundraiser next week. That's where I want to focus. Elina didn't know that the next few days would bring a storm. Lucien, Marques, and Celeste, three very different people from three different worlds, were about to collide. And when they did, nothing would be the same. The next week came fast. full of nerves and big feelings. Elina stood in front of the mirror in Lucien's penthouse. The view looked out over New York City. Lights sparkled across the skyline. It felt like anything could happen. Elina wore a long emerald green dress. It fit her perfectly. Earlier that day, Elina had come over to help do her hair. They picked a soft style that framed her face gently. Now, as Elina looked in the mirror, she saw something new. Quiet confidence. She wasn't sure if she truly felt strong inside yet, but she looked like she did. Lucien stood beside her, fixing his cufflinks. He leaned in and kissed her temple. "You look amazing," he said softly. "Are you ready?" Elina gave a small smile. "As ready as I'll ever be. I still don't know who we'll see tonight." Lucien paused. "It's a mix," he said. "Some rich donors, some investors, even a few celebrities. These events can feel like a lot. If you want to leave anytime, just say so." They arrived at the Laurelwood Hotel. Fancy cars lined up outside. Lights flashed from cameras. People in shiny dresses and suits walked inside with quiet smiles and loud money. Elina stayed close to Lucien. Her heart slowed a little once they were inside. The room was big and beautiful. Chandeliers sparkled above them. Waiters walked by with glasses of champagne. Suddenly, a tall woman with red hair came up to them, smiling brightly. "Lucien, darling," she said, kissing both his cheeks. "So good to see you. And who is this lovely woman?" Lucien put a hand on Elina's back. "Monica, this is Elina Marques, my girlfriend. Elina, this is Monica Herrera. She's on the board of the Global Arts Foundation." Monica smiled even wider. "Nice to meet you, dear." Lucien said, "You're an architect? How exciting. We have to talk about our new cultural center in Berkeley." Elina nodded politely. Monica's energy was a little much, but she smiled and kept up. More people came over. They smiled, asked polite questions, then started talking about business or big charity plans. Elina listened and tried her best. But it was clear, these people lived in a different world. A world of big names, big money, and big promises. Later, Elina stepped away for a break. She found a quiet corner with photos and stories from the foundation's work. Hospitals, art scholarships, green projects around the world. She was reading about a wildlife project in Africa when a voice behind her made her jump. "Elina Marques, is that really you?" The voice was a man's. It sounded familiar. She turned and froze. It was David Russell, an old friend of Marques, someone he used to talk business with. David's eyes lit up. He remembered her. "Almost didn't believe it. How are you?" Elina gave a polite smile. "I'm well, David. I didn't expect to see you here." Her voice was calm, but her chest felt tight. It always did when the past came too close. "I'm a sponsor," David said, gently spinning the wine in his glass. "Helping charity is good for business, right?" He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. It was the kind of smile that said, "I'm here to look good, not to care." "Actually," he added, "my table's next to Marcus Varela's at the engagement party. You planning to go?" Elina's back straightened. Her breath caught. Even now, Marcus's name came with static. "Still thinking about it," she said, trying to keep her voice light. David let out a low chuckle. "You should. Marcus hasn't stopped talking about his fiancée. Something about her father being connected in D.C. He's doing well for himself. Might be fun to see what you missed." Elina felt a wave of irritation. Underneath it, something sharper. Disgust. Marcus still treated love like a business plan. "Trust me," she said coolly. "I didn't miss anything. I'm here with someone else now." She glanced around, hoping Lucien would show up. She didn't want to seem like she needed help, but right now she would welcome it. David noticed. "All right," he said. "I'll leave you to it. Take care, Elina." He winked, just enough to annoy, and walked off, wineglass in hand. He left behind a sour feeling and a memory Elina had no use for. Elina let out a slow breath and leaned against a display. Behind her was a painting of a broken city, too close to how she felt. Then she felt a warm hand on her shoulder. She turned. Lucien stood there, eyes full of concern. A wave of comfort filled her. "You okay?" he asked. Elina nodded, trying to smile. "Yeah, just someone from my old life. Want to get some air?" "Please." Lucien led her to a terrace. They stepped into the cool night. The wind brushed her cheeks. She closed her eyes for a second, breathing in peace. Lucien stood close behind her. "Elina," he said gently, "I know seeing people from the past can be hard, but I want you to know I'm here, with you, for you." She turned to him, her heart full. It wasn't just David. It was everything. The past pulling at her, the future calling. "Thank you," she whispered. I'm okay, but it's still hard. The engagement party's coming soon, and I guess I'm still healing from the way Marques used to tear me down. Her voice cracked a little, but it was real. Lucien reached out and brushed a strand of hair from her face. You're not that woman anymore, he said, but if going to that party helps you move on, I'll go with you. Elina felt something warm spark inside her, gratitude and strength. I appreciate that, she said softly, leaning into him. High above the city, with lights shining like stars, Elina felt something deep shift inside her. Marques's party wouldn't just be another event. Something big was coming, and it could change everything. Everything Elina thought she knew about her past and her future was about to change. The Four Seasons Hotel sparkled with lights and elegance as Elina walked in, holding Lucien's hand. After thinking long and hard, she had made her choice. She was going to Marques's engagement party. It felt like the last page in a book she needed to close. Lucien wore a black tuxedo. He looked calm, strong, and completely by her side. Elina wore a deep blue gown that made her feel bold and beautiful. For the first time in years, she felt like she belonged. A red carpet stretched outside. Cameras flashed. Guests smiled as they stepped into the hotel. Famous names, big money, powerful people. Inside, everything was grand. Flowers filled the entrance. Soft music from a string group played in the background. Waiters walked by with trays of champagne and tiny snacks. Then Marques appeared. He looked sharp in a perfect suit. His eyes widened for a moment when he saw Elina and Lucien. Next to him stood Celeste Raymond, glowing in a silver dress. Her red hair was up in a neat, stylish twist. She smiled at Elina and walked over. Elina, she said warmly, reaching out her hand. I'm so glad you could come. Marques said he saw you recently. Elina shook her hand and noticed the giant diamond on her ring. Thank you for the invitation, Elina said with a calm, careful smile. Marques cleared his throat. Lucien, he said with a quick nod. Good to see you. Lucien answered smoothly. You too. And congrats on the engagement. There was a short silence. Then Celeste touched Marques's arm and said they had to greet more guests. Elina let out a quiet breath and looked at Lucien with a small, grateful smile. Well, that wasn't so bad, she whispered, even though her heart still beat fast. They walked into the ballroom and tried some of the fancy food. Elina said hello to a few familiar faces. Lynn was there too with her boyfriend and waved them over. They chatted, and Lynn made a few funny comments about how dramatic Marques's party looked. It made Elina laugh, but under the laughter there was still a little tension in the air. From a distance, Elina watched Marques and Celeste talk with guests. Celeste looked perfect, calm, smart, in control. Marques looked proud, maybe even a little too proud, as he introduced her to important people. The party was full of fancy smiles and quiet games. Elina watched it all, her head spinning a little. Everything felt like a show. Then the music stopped. The room went quiet. Marques walked to a microphone and tapped it twice. Good evening, he said, smiling. Celeste and I want to thank you for coming to celebrate our engagement. We're so happy to share this with all of you. His voice was smooth, almost too perfect. The crowd clapped politely. Celeste took the mic next, smiling gracefully. I'm so lucky to have Marques, she said. We're excited for our future and thankful for your support tonight. She spoke well, but Elina noticed how tightly she gripped the mic. Her smile held too long. Something was off. The band started playing again. People clapped. Waiters brought more champagne. Lucien turned to Elina and gave her a warm smile. You've been amazing tonight, he whispered. His voice felt like a shield around her. Elina let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. I think I'm ready to leave, she said quietly. This was enough. Just as they began to turn, a sharp voice stopped them. Leaving already? You haven't even said congratulations. It was Patricia Varela, Marques's mother. She wore pearls and a tight smile. Once she had loved Elina, but after the divorce, she made it clear Elina was no longer welcome. Hello, Patricia, Elina said, standing tall. She didn't flinch. Patricia's eyes moved to Lucien. She looked him up and down like he was a number she had to figure out. And who is this? She asked. Before Elina could answer, Lucien spoke kindly. I'm Lucien Armand, ma'am. I'm here with Elina. Patricia's eyes narrowed. Her hand twitched slightly. She seemed to recognize the name but said nothing. You seem familiar, she said. Have we met? Lucien stayed calm. Maybe at a charity event, he said. His voice was even, But Elina saw it. He was watching her closely now. Just in case. That must be it, Patricia said, though she still looked curious. She turned back to Elina. It's good you've moved on, though some people wonder, did you ever understand what Marques gave you? Lucien didn't say anything. His jaw tightened, but he stayed still. He trusted Elina to speak. And she did. With all due respect, Elina said, calm but strong, that's not your business anymore. I wish Marques and Celeste well. Her voice was smooth, but under it there was steel. Patricia's lips pressed together. Well, enjoy the party, she said, then walked off, leaving a trail of tension behind her. Elina stood still for a moment. She could almost hear the voice of her old self, the one who used to try so hard to win Patricia's love. That voice was gone. Lucien placed a gentle hand on her back. You okay? I'm fine, Elina said softly. Let's get some air. They stepped outside to a small terrace. The city lights sparkled below. The air felt cooler, cleaner. The lights, music, and soft voices from inside faded as Elina stood on the terrace. She finally took a deep breath, the one she had been holding all night. The tight feeling in her shoulders began to ease, until the next wave came. That woman always made me feel not good enough, Elina said softly. It was the first time she had said it out loud. Lucien gently rubbed her shoulder. You are more than enough. I'm proud of you for standing tall in there. His words were simple, but they went straight to her heart. Her throat tightened. A cool wind played with her hair. She turned to thank him again, but loud voices from inside made them both stop. They looked at each other, then stepped back into the ballroom. The energy in the room had changed. Something had cracked. At the front, Marques stood again at the mic. Celeste stood beside him, but they no longer looked happy. They looked nervous, off balance. Please, everyone, stay calm, Marques said into the microphone. His voice was tight, trying to stay in control. People looked around, the room filled with confused whispers. Then, Elina saw a large security guard walking toward them. He looked serious, focused. Her heart pounded. The guard stopped in front of Lucien. Excuse me, Mr. Armand, he said. We need you to come with us. Elina grabbed Lucien's arm. What's going on? She asked. The guard looked unsure. We got a tip. Someone might be here under false identity. Elina's stomach twisted. Around them, people were already watching. Some pulled out their phones. A scandal was starting, live. Marques took the mic again. Lucien Armand, we need to check your background. We can't allow anyone here who doesn't belong. His words were calm, but his eyes looked proud or afraid. Elina stared at him. You invited us, she said under her breath. But it was too late. The damage was done. Celeste stepped up quickly. Marques, this isn't necessary, she said. But her voice was shaky. She knew this was going too far. Lucien raised his hand slowly. It's all right, he said. I'll explain who I am. He looked out at the crowd. Some guests looked confused. Others, entertained. But I would like to know, who made this call? A silence fell. People whispered. Elina looked at Marques, but he looked unsure. Then she saw Patricia. Her face showed satisfaction. Like this was what she had wanted all along. Then a voice from the corner spoke up. I placed the call. Everyone turned. A tall, well-dressed older man stepped into the middle of the room. Elina knew who he was, Gerald Preston. Celeste's father. He looked straight at Lucien with a hard stare. I've heard stories about you, he said. They say you pretend to be rich and generous, but no one knows where your money really comes from. He looked at the guests around him. We can't just let anyone into these circles. Just like that, a party turned into a test. An invitation became an attack. Elina felt anger rise in her chest. He's not just anyone, he's... Lucien gently squeezed her hand. It was a quiet message. Stay calm. He looked at Gerald Preston and spoke clearly. Sir, you're right. I don't talk much about money, Lucien said. But I do belong here. If you want proof, we can step aside and I'll show you whatever you need. The room went quiet. Marques looked unsure. Celeste looked shocked and embarrassed by her father. The guard waited, not moving. Lucien slowly reached into his jacket and pulled out a card. He handed it to the guard. Call this number, Lucien said. My office will confirm who I am. I'm a lead investor in ArcLight Tech. People gasped. ArcLight Tech was a huge name in tech. Everyone knew it. The news spread fast through the room. Gerald Preston grabbed the card and read it. His face went pale. Marcus's eyes changed, confused and jealous. The guard spoke into his earpiece, then nodded. It's confirmed, sir. I'm very sorry, Mr. Armand. He stepped back, no longer blocking Lucien. A silence fell again. This time, it was full of tension. Lucien turned to Marques and Celeste. His voice was calm, but firm. Congratulations on your engagement, he said. But we'll be leaving now. He took Elina's arm and they walked toward the exit. Lynn followed behind, shaking her head at the mess. In the lobby, Elina's feelings burst out. I can't believe they tried to treat you like a fake, she said, eyes full of angry tears. Lucien looked at her gently. I've seen worse. Let's just go home. Outside, under the city lights, one thing was clear to Elina. This wasn't just about her anymore. Marques and Celeste had tried to hurt Lucien too. The game had changed. It wasn't about the past now. It was about power. And next time, it wouldn't be quiet. The next morning, the internet exploded. Everyone was talking about the party. Blogs and gossip pages posted headlines like, "Billionaire questioned at fancy party, turns out he's the real deal." "Investor mistaken for guest, fiancé's father causes scene at fancy engagement party." That was just one of the headlines. Elina woke up to tons of texts from Lynn. Her friends sent videos, pictures, and tweets. Hashtags like ballroom gate and hashtag who is Lucien were trending. The internet couldn't get enough. Even Marques had called late that night. He left a voicemail. Elina had no plan to answer, but she listened anyway. "Elina, hey. I'm sorry about what happened. I didn't know Celeste's father would do that. Maybe we could talk sometime soon, clear things up, let me know." She deleted it right away. His voice, once so close to her heart, now felt like something from a different life. A closed door. A world she didn't want back. Now everyone knew who Lucien really was. Not just a kind, quiet man, but someone powerful. Someone who stood strong in any room, and he had handled the mess with calm and grace. He never yelled, never showed anger. That quiet strength said more than any news story. That morning, he invited Elina to his penthouse for breakfast. Over croissants and coffee, they talked about the night before. "I guess the Prestons think I'm a fake who sweet-talked his way into high society," Lucien joked, shaking his head. But Elina heard something behind the laugh. Something tired. Something hurt. "It's not right," she said, holding her coffee. "You've helped so many people. You shouldn't have to prove yourself." Lucien gave a small shrug. "Money makes things tricky," he said. "People either want something from you or think you're hiding something." He looked out the big window at the city skyline. For a second, he seemed far away. Then he reached for her hand. His thumb brushed over her fingers. "That's why I stay quiet about it. But I don't want you caught in the middle." Elina shook her head. She squeezed his hand gently. "I'm proud of you, Lucien. If anyone has a problem with you, that's their problem." Her voice was steady, because she meant every word. Lucien's eyes softened. He leaned in and kissed her forehead. It was gentle, and it lingered like he wanted to say more than words could hold. Then his phone buzzed on the table. He picked it up and frowned. "Everything okay?" Elina asked. Her stomach felt tight. Something had changed, Lucien sighed. "Something's wrong with a deal one of my companies is working on. I might have to fly to San Francisco tomorrow." Elina set down her coffee. Worry crept in. "For how long?" "A few days, maybe a week. I'm not sure yet." Lucien sighed and rubbed the back of his neck. "I hate the timing. I really don't want to leave, especially after everything that happened." Elina gave him a soft smile. "It's okay. Go take care of it. I'll be fine." They spent the rest of the day walking through a park and visiting a small art exhibit. They stayed away from the news and ignored the gossip still spinning around online. With Lucien, Elina felt peaceful, like they could face anything together. But inside, a thought kept bothering her. She knew Marques. He hated being second to anyone. He always needed control. And now that Lucien's name and his wealth were public, Marques would feel threatened. And when Marques felt threatened, he always caused problems. Later that day, just as Elina was heading home, her phone buzzed. A strange number popped up. She hesitated, then picked up. "Elina, it's Celeste." Her voice was quiet, shaky, but serious. "Can we meet? I need to talk. It's about Marques." Elina's heart jumped. Why would Celeste call her? Was it a trap? Some kind of blame game about the party? But Celeste didn't sound angry. She sounded scared. Elina agreed to meet the next day at a tea shop. After the call, she sat frozen, her stomach twisting. Celeste didn't sound proud or sharp. She sounded desperate. Maybe that perfect-looking engagement was starting to fall apart. And if it was, what truth might come out next? The next day, gray clouds hung low over the city. Elina stepped into Marlowe's tea house in Midtown. It was quiet, with soft lights and the smell of fresh tea. She picked a corner booth and waited. Celeste walked in wearing a black coat over a cream blouse. Her steps were slow, her hands slightly shaking as she took off her coat. "Thanks for meeting me," she said softly, sitting down. Elina watched her carefully. She didn't look like the glowing bride-to-be from the party. She looked tired. "It's okay," Elina said gently. "What's going on?" A server came. Celeste asked for chamomile tea. Elina ordered Earl Grey. They sat in silence until the server left. Celeste looked down at the table. "This might sound strange, but I don't have many people to talk to. About Marcus." She paused, her voice dropped. "He doesn't talk about you. But I looked into it. I know how your marriage ended. It sounded fast and painful." Elina's stomach tightened. "What do you want to know?" Celeste held her hands together tightly. Her knuckles turned white. It looked like she was holding back her own fear. "Is he always like this? So controlling?" Her voice was soft but full of frustration. "I've seen signs before, but last night, what he did to your boyfriend, he wasn't mad at his father. He was mad because someone else got more attention than him. We fought after the party. Bad." Her lips shook, just a little, before she pulled herself back together. Elina looked at her carefully. That look in Celeste's eyes, she knew it. She had once seen it in her own reflection. There was no point in lying. "Marcus always had to win," Elina said gently. "At first, he was just driven, smart, ambitious. But then, everything became a contest. If I didn't meet his expectations, he would tear me down." Her voice grew tight, not with anger but with memories. "He didn't treat me like an equal. He treated me like I was part of his plan." Celeste's eyes filled with tears, but she blinked quickly. She wasn't ready to let them fall. "I'm starting to see it too," she whispered. "After the party, he walked around the penthouse yelling. He said he'd never let some nobody make him look weak. I told him Lucien clearly isn't a nobody." And Marcus got even angrier. She looked down, her voice shaking. "I have money, connections, but Marcus wants more. He wants me to help him climb." The words hit the table like a heavy truth. Elina felt something twist inside. She remembered how Marcus could charm you, make you believe you were building something big together. Until you realized you were the one holding it all up. "So, why talk to me?" Elina asked gently. Celeste looked around the tea shop as if checking for someone listening. Even in this quiet, cozy place, she looked nervous. "Because I don't know if I can marry him," she said. "And I need to know, has Marcus ever done anything shady? With money or anything else?" She paused. Then, barely above a whisper, "My father's pressuring me to go through with the wedding, but I'm scared." Elina's thoughts flashed back. She remembered the money fights. How Marcus once pushed her to use her savings for one of his risky projects. When she said no, he called her small-minded and selfish. That was just the beginning. "I don't know if it was illegal," Elina said slowly, "but he always twisted things to get what he wanted, and someone else usually paid the price." Celeste looked both relieved and worried. Truth wasn't always comforting. "I see," she said quietly. Their teas arrived. Celeste stirred hers without speaking. The silence between them said everything. Celeste stirred her tea slowly, not really looking at it. "He's pushing me to sign a prenup. One that gives him most of the control. It's tied to future money from my father's business deals." Elina's eyes widened. "That's a big red flag." "I know," Celeste whispered, her voice shaking. "He wants me to sign before we even pick a wedding date. My father says it's just smart planning, but it doesn't feel right. And after what happened at the party, how angry he got over Lucien, I realized I don't even know the man I'm about to marry." Elina felt a deep wave of sympathy. As much pain as Marcus had caused her, she could see that Celeste was caught in something toxic. "You have every right to feel unsure," Elina said gently. She paused, then added, "If you ever need someone to talk to or a place to clear your head, you can call me. I'm not against you. Marcus is just part of my past." Celeste lowered her head. "Thank you. That means a lot." They both sipped their tea quietly. After a few minutes, Celeste spoke again. "I'm going to talk to him. I'm thinking about asking to delay the wedding until I feel more sure. I just don't know how he'll react." Elina remembered too well how fast Marcus's charm could turn into anger when he was challenged. "Be careful," she said firmly. Marcus doesn't like losing control. Make sure you have people around you, people you trust. Celeste nodded slowly. Her eyes looked watery again. I will. And Elina, about what happened at the party, I'm really sorry about my father. He thought Lucien was just using me, but he was wrong. Very wrong. Elina gave a small smile. Apology accepted. They walked out of the tea shop together. The clouds above looked heavy with rain. Celeste walked down the street, pulling her coat tight. Elina watched her go. Her heart felt full of sadness, worry, and a small sense of peace. She had made it out. But something told her this wasn't over. Marcus, when pushed, could be cruel. If Celeste chose to stand up to him, she might see a side of him Elina knew too well. The side that held grudges. The next morning, Elina woke up to a bunch of messages from Lynn. Her phone buzzed non-stop. Still half asleep, she grabbed the remote and turned on the TV. A bright red banner flashed across the screen. Marcus Varela under investigation for fraud. Just days after his big engagement party, Marcus was now being looked at for serious money crimes. News headlines covered the screen. Marcus Varela under investigation for fraud, used Fiancée's family to make illegal gains. Elina sat frozen watching the report. Her mind swirled with feelings, shock, relief, and something sad too. She had loved this man once, and now his fall was everywhere. His face, his lies, his mistakes. It wasn't just public, it was a movie. Her phone rang. It was Lynn. It's everywhere, Lynn said, out of breath. He's finished. Investors are running. Gerald Preston pulled all his support. Then she added, and get this, Celeste gave the investigators the proof. She turned on him. Elina sat in silence, her heart pounding. Another call came in, a number she didn't know. She answered and froze. Elina? It was Marcus. His voice was raw. Scared. I have nothing left. They froze my accounts. Celeste's gone. I need your help. She could hear the panic, the way he was falling apart. Paper sounds, footsteps, chaos in the background. Marcus? She said slowly. I'm not your wife anymore. What you did, if you broke the law, that's on you. He laughed bitterly. Everyone's turning on me. These rich people, they only care about winning. I tried to play the game. Now I'm the bad guy. Even you're walking away. Then his voice turned cold. You think Lucien will always be there to fix things for you? Elina stayed calm. The words didn't sting anymore. My life isn't tied to yours, Marcus. Don't call me again. Her hand shook a little as she ended the call, but not from fear, from freedom. The silence afterward felt different. Not empty, peaceful. She had let go. Marcus was no longer a ghost in her life, just a lesson from the past. And now, she could breathe. 2 days later, Lucien returned from San Francisco. As the elevator opened and he walked into the penthouse, Elina rushed to him. Her purse dropped to the floor. She wrapped her arms around him. He held her tight, his fingers soft in her hair. I missed you, he said gently. They sat on the sofa. Elina held his hand. Lucien, she said softly, while you were gone, Marcus's life fell apart. She told him everything. He's under investigation. Celeste left him. And he's been calling me, asking for help. Lucien's eyes narrowed with concern. He called you? Elina nodded slowly. He asked for money, for a better lawyer. I said no. It felt cold, but I can't let him pull me back into his chaos. Lucien let out a breath. His relief showed in his eyes. I'm proud of you, he said. You did the right thing. Setting that boundary took strength. He reached out and held her hand. If you ever feel unsafe, I'll do whatever I have to, whatever it takes, to protect you. They spent the rest of the day talking. They went over the drama, the news stories, and how fast it all had spread. Even the gossip sites were talking, comparing Lucien's quiet strength with Marcus's public fall. Elina hated the gossip, but Lucien stayed calm. It'll pass, he said. It always does. That evening, they went to a charity art auction for local artists. The gallery was modern and bright. Cameras flashed as they walked in. Lucien was now known as one of the city's most generous donors. Elina felt nervous under the attention, but Lucien leaned in and whispered, Relax, we're here for something good. Encouraged, she walked through the gallery and stopped in front of a painting, full of color, life, and strength. Lucien noticed. Quietly, he outbid everyone else and gifted it to her later with a smile. Later that night, they hosted a small party at Lucien's home. They celebrated Elina's new hotel design project and her new painting. Ling came early and hugged Elina tight. She shared the latest on Marcus, canceled contracts, angry investors, and more headlines. A small part of Elina still felt sorry, but a bigger part knew she had made the right choice. After the guests left, Elina and Lucien sat together in the soft light of the living room. City lights sparkled through the big windows. The painting now hung proudly on the wall. Elina held a glass of wine and looked out at the skyline. She felt something she hadn't felt in years: peace. No more shrinking, no more fear, no more trying to be small to keep someone else feeling big. She turned to Lucien. He was watching her with that warm look she'd come to love. "I never thought I'd be here," she said quietly. "A year ago, I was still trying to heal. Now, everything feels possible." Lucien reached for her hand and kissed her knuckles. "You deserve a partner who sees your brilliance," he said, "not one who tries to take it away." Then he smiled just a little. "As for my money or my name, I want you to know this." He looked right into her eyes. "I admire your strength. I'm here for you. But you've already shown you can stand on your own." His words wrapped around her like warmth, and every last piece of doubt melted away. Together they stood by the window. The city stretched far and wide, lights flickering, cars moving, life pulsing in every direction. Night had fallen over New York, but inside Lucien's home there was calm, a peace that wasn't given, it was earned. Elina leaned her head on Lucien's shoulder. Her thoughts drifted back to the woman she once was. The woman who shrank herself for Marcus. The woman who thought being quiet would keep the peace. That woman was gone. Now she stood tall. She had rebuilt her life, found joy in her work again, opened her heart to someone who lifted her up instead of pushing her down. She had created something new, from the ground up, her ground, her design, her strength. Down below, the city kept moving, loud, busy, alive. But up here, in this quiet moment, Elina felt something deep inside her shift. Freedom. Not just from Marcus, but from the need to prove herself, from the weight of always needing to be enough. She was done looking back. Now she looked ahead, holding the hand of a man who respected her dreams, her space, her voice. Lucien didn't need to say much. He didn't have to. His love showed in the way he stayed, listened, believed. Thank you for walking beside Elina on this journey, through heartbreak, lies, growth, and healing. She didn't just survive, she chose to rise. She let go of what hurt her. She chose herself. Her strength wasn't loud or angry, it was calm, clear, free. She built her new life, not with revenge but with peace. And maybe that's the most powerful choice of all. Dear reader, life doesn't always go the way we hope. People let us down, plans fall apart, but we are never without power. We get to choose who we become. This wasn't just Elina's story. It might be yours too. If even one piece of it spoke to you, we hope you'll share it with someone who needs to hear they're not alone. We're glad you were here. You matter, and you are stronger than you know.